about time we see some Pantheon in the LCS. It was basically perma pick ban in the week and a half of LPL that we saw, and then it hit NA and just nobody was touching it, which was just really strange.
A karma.
So I was excited about the Yasuo and the Pantheon. I'm not as excited about the karma, especially... Immortals did this last week, where they picked a champion the patch before it got buffed. So they did it with Trundle between 10-1 and 10-2, and now they're doing it with top lane Karma between 10-2 and 10-3. Compositionally, like, the Cassio does look like it's going to be bottom lane, pending a last-second swap, which they could do. The comp doesn't look bad for Immortals. Yasuo Gragas is a classic mid-lane duo of power.
Yeah, if you look over on the side of Cloud9, they're also very AD heavy.
Yeah.
Senna, Pantheon, Gangplank. Of course, Gangplank has the magic damage from his ultimate, so that's a little bit not AD, I guess. But the main AP threat here is Elise. If Elise falls behind the curve of the game and you've got some Ninja Tabbies and an Hourglass with your Gragas, you feel pretty comfortable initiating into a squad like this pretty much all the time.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen such varied games today. We saw the first game with COG where we got the Kale versus Set, like, super late game. We had that amazing back and forth, like, meta composition team between Dignitas and TL. And now we get this where the only player to play Cassio bot lane in the LCS pulls it back out again. We get the Yasuo and Karma coming out of solo lanes. And we see our first LCS Pantheon. I'm excited.
And with how good Cloud9 looked in week number 1, if Immortals wins this, I think this is the one that changes the minds of a lot of people who are doubting Immortals.
Yeah.
Because, yes, they beat TSM. Yes, that was a surprise. I think you could comb the depths of the internet and not find a whole lot of people who think TSM are doing real hot right now. TSM, Immortals played better than what people were expecting. TSM also played worse. So let's see if Immortals can now step up and take down a team that everybody else is hype on, because that says a lot to me.
Yeah, and I am very hype on C9 after week 1, to be completely clear. Like, the expectations for this team got set very high for me after seeing their performance with the 24-minute win over Liquid, and then just the way they manipulated side waves against the Golden Guardians. Adding on top of how clean and effective their bottom lane looked. So I'm just expecting a high level of execution from C9 if they're looking to carry through. And that's why, as you mentioned, it would be very impressive if Immortals pulls out a win.
And as we wait for the action to truly break out with the minions, let's go ahead and check in. We got a sideline report with Zabuti.
Thanks, guys. Here was Zabutin. Rough week for Immortals, little shaky. What was the difference made coming into week 2?
I mean, for week 1, we had exactly 2 days of scrim, so it was borderline playable. So the win has to be put on the players. The staff borderline didn't do anything beside the draft. We're still trying to find our identity as a team. It takes a little bit more time than like 6 days. So we're kind of heading games. The draft might seem a little bit weird for some people, but I mean, it's kind of like in the process of finding how we want to play the game, and let's hope for a win today.
And now that everyone has had more than those 2 days of practice, how's everyone gelling together?
I mean, it's pretty good. As I say, it's a slow process. Sometimes it clicks in a day, sometimes it takes a little bit more time, but I'm not too worried about like this thing clicking eventually. It's just time is what it takes.
Thank you, Zob. Throwing it back to the guys for some action.
All right, we got the invade from Cloud9 here at the blue buff of Immortals. It's a smite fight for the level 1 buff. Or is he just going to lose all his patience? No, they've got him stuck there with a half bar of patience at the very edge of the ramp. That's Blaber able to get to level 2. This could go very bad for Immortals. Damage coming through there. Flash force out from Hakuho, and that's a successful invade from C9.
And he's sticking around for the Gromp. Xmithie still has his smite. I like what Xmithie's doing, because he could easily get level 2 off of here. Liked the early play, don't like to stay for the Gromp by C9. Yeah, and he ends up backing away. Wow, that's what you can do a little bit with Tahm Kench or Braum, as you try and do those early level 1 invades to get pressure, but overall well played.
Cloud9 extending their own heal in that one, so it means that they will be down that combat summoner. If Xmithie wants to get involved in a bottom lane gank early on, they'll have a bit more damage in that one, but it's even scarier for this side of Immortals because of the fact that Hakuho doesn't have that flash. Mid lane here, Eika versus Nisqy. Nisqy taking control of the lane early on. Pantheon, we remember him back in the Worlds days where he was just pick bans here. And by pick bans here, I mean banned the entire time except for one pick during the play-in stage because he was just that strong. Obviously been toned down since then, but still a very powerful duelist.
Yeah, and incredibly reliable gank support. The thing you'll want to do on Pantheon, and you can see it when you're kind of over his head, when he's fully stacked on his passive, it means his W will have 3 auto attacks afterwards, which will nearly full stack his passive again. So you wait until you're full, you W when you auto 3 times, and then you have a choice. You can either auto again and get an empowered Q, or you can just Q and then get an empowered E, which will be 3 seconds of directional invulnerability.
Which is a lot.
Really, really hard to trade back into and great for gank assist.
So it's, oh no, Blaber! That is not where the Cocoon wanted to go, brother. I agree,
Yeah.
guy in the audience. I agree.
I heard somebody else be like, what?
Yeah.
Like, how do you miss that Cocoon? How do you miss that Cocoon?
It's, I don't know.
Was there a juke that I missed?
I was trying to come up with something clever to say. I don't have anything. That's
Yeah.
that's a personal error there on Blaber, not finding the Cocoon on that one. Means sOAZ is able to walk away pretty effortlessly, and no real summoner spells, no anything expended in the top side there.
sOAZ did actually walk a little irregularly. I just watched it back. It looked like he was just juking permanently, which is something you should probably do. Most people are, don't think to do that, but still, what? How do you miss that? All right, I'm not on that. It was a good gank attempt.
It happened. It's done. We must move on. As bottom side, Xmithie, although he lost that starting blue, he doesn't feel too bad. He's still able to not get double crabbed, so he grabs the bottom side scuttle crab. You can see Blaber farming up his chicken camp. He's level 4 compared to Xmithie's 3. Barrel rolling in there, trying to steal away some little chickens if possible, but won't be so. Nisqy trying to trade there with Eika, throwing out the wind wall to try to block a spear in trade, but Nisqy wisely saving it until afterwards. Finding a really good trade onto Eika here. Ignite drop down, nicely done! Solo kill for Nisqy.
Yep, Pantheon's pretty strong. Now, Eika was confident there because his support was in River. So he's thinking, all right, if this guy goes in, it's fine. It's not fine.
No.
Still Pantheon. He's very strong. But, yeah, a misplay by Eika there. Flashing a little bit late. Still got flash followed by Nisqy and not respecting the Ignite. So watching this, he's just trying to get his wave into the turret. That's all he's trying to do. That's the 3 seconds. Is trying to track his spells. Yeah, the empowered Q post-flash. Very well played by Nisqy.
It's like one of those old Spike TV shows where they ask who would win between the Spartan and the Samurai. Well, we don't need a 30-minute show to figure that one out this time around. It's definitely the Spartan early on in the lane, so to say. As we've got the serrated Dirk on Nisqy as well. Lots of extra power coming out from that one to make sure you've got the armor penetration through the lethality to do even more damage with those spears. Also, keep your eyes on Nisqy now that he's got the level 6 to see if he gets involved in these other lanes. As a mid-lane Pantheon, it's so easy to be all over the map.
And that's the scariest thing about this composition for C9 is Pantheon ultimate, GP ultimate, and an Elise jungle. That's some tower dive right there if they get any type of pressure down bottom lane going with the Senna Tahm Kench. And then after that, they're going to have the Tahm Kench ult to go with all these globals. So this isn't a team fighting composition by C9. This is very much an early game skirmish. Let's run over the other team. And the solo kill for Pantheon is a great start.
Infernal Drake first up here for Cloud9 means we will not see the Infernal Soul here again this game like we did in the last one. Cloud will be up next. Nice early Drake take around 6 minutes as we normally see compared to the last game where it wasn't taken until around 13. But Immortals hanging on here in the bottom side. Only a couple CS behind their opponents. The big story of this game so far, Jatt, is mid lane. 57-35 in the farm. Not only did that death cost him because he died, it cost him so much presence in his lane, and Eika's going to be trailing for a while.
Yeah, still has cleanse. Doesn't necessarily matter since he's just getting pushed out anyway. And once Nisqy has mid priority, we saw last year he was very nearly the top vote getter for mid laners. Very good at playing with an advantage from mid lane. They can crash either side with this Pantheon Elise pressure. Hello.
Okay. I was going to say, that one. There's no way you miss 2 of these. Blaber finds some damage onto Xmithie there, but considering the solo lanes were coming to collapse, they don't want to seek any more violence here just yet. Nisqy goes right back to farming though, and Eika's just got to get very familiar with the terrain underneath this turret.
Yeah, you can see Blaber really trying to play around this Pantheon. But it is difficult, though, because the Gangplank can't get priority over the Karma. So anytime they do an invade, they have to worry about sOAZ roaming down. In the meanwhile, it looks like they're all just prepping for this 8-minute Rift Herald. Both bot lanes recalling to match up.
I hope this one's a bloodbath. We'll see. Xmithie, level 5 here on the Gragas. Blaber the same, so smites are equal. But remember that Xmithie not having the level 6 ulti upgrade is way different than Blaber not having it. Much more important there for the Gragas. Vulcan not level 6 here either. sOAZ coming in from the top side, but the fight's going to be breaking out. Gangplank ulti providing control. Damage coming through. Nisqy looking to grab the lockdown there. Hakuho and Altec on the run, but they're both going to find their way back to the spawn platform in a body bag. And C9 win themselves a fight. They don't even lose patience on Shelly, and they'll pick up the Rift Herald.
That was really nicely done by C9. So many times when a team is set up around an objective with 4 people on one side and 1 on the other, it's like, are you getting collapsed on, or can you be the ones that do the collapsing? And C9, incredibly decisive, say, there's 4 people over there and a Karma behind us. Let's just go. The GP ultimate plays just a little bit behind Immortals. Because Zven landed that route, it times great with Nisqy's ultimate, so they can just run down both bot laners for Immortals and pick up that first Rift Herald. Beautifully done.
Not only do they get them, but with all those summoner spells expended, that is all 3 combat summoners for the Immortals bottom lane. If there's a return visit from Blaber, or Nisqy, or Licorice's ulti, or pretty much anything, those guys are in a real rough spot. Again, Hakuho is still not having the box yet on the Thresh. We'll see how they want to play around that one as the top laners have gone in the bottom lane now. Licorice continuing to farm up, building an ever so slight advantage in farm over his opponent. It's even more worthwhile because you're Gangplank, you have the extra gold coming in. Looking back towards the mid lane, you can see Pantheon doing what Pantheon does. Every item is just a myriad of swords. Sword, 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 sword.
Yeah, how many long swords are in his build? It's got to be...
It's like 4 per lethality item. It's a lot.
Yeah. You like swords. Either way, Pantheon Ultimate coming up soon, Rift Herald on the way. The question always is, where do you end up dropping this first Rift Herald? The ideal is they could actually make a play happen, get the first 2 plates down, then drop the Rift Herald for the turret. But good control warding by Immortals there. Lets them know Blaber's on the way.
But will they be able to send anyone to stop it? Nisqy once again getting the better of Eika here in the mid lane. Xmithie shows up. Remember, it's so easy to get your last breath off on Yasuo.
He's just 1v2ing.
But Nisqy doesn't care. He's so far in control of this mid lane. Eika's done a pretty good job of trying to catch up some in that farm department, but Nisqy's just so far in control. There's so much. There's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
Top side, though. Rift Herald still not summoned up by Blaber. They're doing what you were talking about. They're taking down the easy plates with their personal damage and then waiting to use Shelly for the next 2 because her damage will always just take 2 of them out. Boom! There you go. More money in the C9 pockets. Look at the gold lead. Last game didn't have this kind of a gold lead till 30 minutes in, and now Cloud9 will take the first turret. A couple more auto attacks should do the trick, and that's going to put them up almost 4,000 gold over Immortals.
Look at those nice guys playing around Zven. Everyone leaves so he can pick up full gold. No jungle or support greeting to get their own items. It's the right call in this situation as well when you have that type of early game lead, giving Zven as much power as possible. But they're likely set up just right for this as well. They can do their resets, they'll get back on the map, and now they'll move toward Cloud Drake. They're just so clean this game.
Let's throw back to what we were talking about when we were first introducing this game. Zven and Vulcan looking like such a big upgrade in the bottom lane for Cloud9, and Zven just seems so much more comfortable on this team than what we saw him on TSM. He was part of the TSM roster that didn't click, part of the import with Xmithie there, as Altec's nearly taken out. Nisqy can't quite find the kill, but Zven just seems to be in his element here in these first couple weeks.
Yeah, and it's twofold, right? Like the C9 last year was actually very good. They were second place in both regular season splits.
So quick with the 5 games.
They're going for sOAZ.
sOAZ, are you getting away from this one? Well, he got licked and he got sticked. And that'll be all she wrote. Blaber grabs the kill on that one. Elise up to 1-0-2.
Damn. That was just, they just make it look easy. Other teams have such a hard time making early game plays happen. C9, already 2 Drakes, 1 Rift Herald on their way to getting a large amount of plates. But to get back, as long as I don't cast a curse, the clean play, to get back to this, like, they're also playing around Zven. Last year, C9 didn't play around Sneaky. They were so much a soul lane team. Like, we must play around these soul lanes, and then Sneaky will be there in team fights. This team is like, from the looks of it, in 3 games, an early game team, however it works, right? Whatever is the best place for us to go is where we will go. it's not necessarily like they're camping Zven or camping Nisqy, but they're just making these highly efficient, aggressive plays, and they're 5,000 gold up.
That kind of malleability is awesome because it means that you can adapt to each and every game instead of always being pigeonholed into this one strategy that teams are able to figure out and play around. If you can trust every single lane to step up when need be, but also to play weak side when need be. Not every player can do both. Some people are very inclined towards one or the other, as we'll see Licorice going for the trade here against sOAZ. Root comes out, Licorice eats the orange, looking for more barrels, and he forces the flash out of sOAZ.
And we saw what happened the last time sOAZ's flash was down. TK came down bottom and they dove him. So that type of aggression in the solo lane, very beneficial to be able to set up more plays. It's the only flash that's actually down on Immortals right now. And it just gives another thing for C9 to add to, like, what is our next play going to be?
And remember, because we are now on 10.2, it means we're on the path where the cloaks of agility have been nerfed. You can no longer just grab 2 cloaks early on in the game for Yasuo to have 100% crit whenever he feels like it. So that sort of a build for both Yasuo and Marksman has been removed from the game. And that means that we are going to need to see the 2 real crit items before 100% crit comes online for Eika, who is still behind this game, as Cloud9 will once again go in, steal things away, and Vulcan just hops over with a blast cone as Blaber secures the red.
That was well played by both sides, actually. Xmithie knew there was something afoot, didn't have vision, but by aggroing the red will then go towards the next closest thing.
Yes.
So the red is actually his ward, if that makes sense. And it let him know something was in the brush. Once C9 was spotted, they just pulled the red back to make sure they'd win the smite, get it, and now they go for their second kill.
Fun tip for, that's actually a really good tip for solo queue jungling as well. That's one thing that I remember back however many seasons ago I first learned that. When you think you're going to be counter jungled, you shoot the whatever creep camp it is, you shoot it. If something seems wrong, if they're not walking towards you, if they run the other way, it's not the AI messing up. It's the fact that somebody's trying to set up a trap.
Absolutely. Now with the second Rift Herald, where do they go next? Well, they tried for the flash of sOAZ. Rare misplay from C9 so far this game, actually going in a little bit early and without any type of space to cut people off.
Vulcan hanging around the jungle just to make sure that Immortals doesn't try to steal back the red that they lost there in their own side. But Nisqy will pick that one up for the side of C9. Duskblade done means that much extra burst for this Pantheon. It was Phantom Dancer, the rush for Eika. Pretty standard Yasuo stuff. Makes him a bit more survivable here in the fights. Couple that with his shield, and maybe he'll be able to survive if he goes in. But it's still very risky when Cloud9 is up 6,000 gold. Third straight spawning here in 1 minute. Herald summoned up in the mid lane. There's no more plate money available, but honestly, they're so far ahead. They just need the map control now. Take down the tier 1 turret. There you go. A couple more auto attacks should seal its fate. And that one's gone.
Try and get sOAZ while he's in transit.
There we go. There's some damage coming out from the barrels. Licorice knows how to play this. When he throws down the ulti to the side to cut off the escape route that sOAZ may be able to use, sOAZ is forced to run down the long hallway. He might as well be walking the green mile. There is no way you're escaping that Gangplank there. Hakuho trying to get out. The damage comes in. Senna's almost able to take him down. Altec grabs the return kill onto Nisqy, and Immortals finally gets themselves on the board.
Yeah, misplay by Nisqy there. He used his E. It's directional invulnerability. His E wasn't facing the turret, so the turret just killed him as he was trying to do that dive. So good stopwatch by Hakuho to buy a lot of time during that dive, but Immortals is on the board, even though the Mountain Drake is likely gone soon. That's where they're TK ulting. Vulcan says team.
Where's
team's getting kills.
Where's everybody at? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they did manage to grab a kill onto Altec, and with the Cassiopeia down, I'd be willing to wager that we are not going to see any sort of resistance on this Drake from an Immortals squad that are 6,000 gold behind in 4v5, and that puts Cloud9 at Drake point, 18 minutes into the game. This could be a 24-minute soul.
This could be real fast. I mean, 23 minute with the 5-minute respawn timer on the Drake coming in, even faster. One thing that Eika did do is he's been able to pick up a lot of side lane farm. The one way that Immortals could think to try and get back in this would be get it fast. Very well done. About to reset and start healing.
That's true.
Everything C9 does just feels so practiced. Like
it feels really clean, this game.
Yeah.
I am impressed so far. We'll see how swiftly and efficiently they can close this game out. Take another look here at how they caught Altec.
Yeah, sitting on a control ward. The Vulcan was already on the next play, but Blaber and Zven said, hey, wait a minute, we'll pick this up. No harm for us.
Definitely some for Altec. 1 and 2 on the Cassiopeia. He does have the Archangel Staff complete, but it has not evolved into Seraph's Embrace. The shield could be really big going forward. He needs 70 more mana, so he should hopefully have it before the next team fight breaks out. We'll see how far Cloud9 wants to push their aggro in this game. They will definitely be the ones deciding when and where the fights happen for the long foreseeable future.
Yeah, they definitely want to continue to get picks. Their Baron damage is actually quite slow, so a lot of the acceleration is to kill someone outside of a turret, then go for the turret, and use kind of the Mountain Soul and Elder Dragon, if need be, to be the endgame things. It's very much an early game composition that does need to succeed early. It succeeded very, very well.
With flying colors.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that like the Baron will necessarily be easy for the champions they play.
Still trying to just fight over this vision here. Dare Immortals to come out and mess with them. Senna ult comes through, GP ulti doing the same. Look at Eika's health bar. Just Gangplank ult and Senna ult did that.
Yeah, that's something Immortals gonna have to worry about.
Two buttons.
2 buttons, and it'll only get stronger as GP and Zven continue to pick up items. Zven really close to completing his Muramana, which will really up his damage. But as you can see there, they didn't win the fight, but they got everyone on Immortals low enough that then they were able to take a turn.
And sometimes that's all you need to do.
Yep.
Winning the fight doesn't mean killing the enemy team. It just means controlling enough of the map that you can get something out of it. Top side, it's Vulcan with the Abyssal Voyage. C9 again, using these tools so well, making sure that they're taking advantage of the pick, not just to keep Senna safe, but to bring everybody around the map, control objectives. 5 turrets to 1, 6 kills to 1, 8,000 gold lead 20 minutes in.
And I'm so happy to see them use their globals and their gold advantage to continue to accelerate the game. Like, it's not just grouping 5 mid and saying we have a gold lead, let's kill you. It's just making these somewhat uncounterable map plays to get advantages. A lot of the other teams in the LCS only end up getting second-tier inner turrets, at least in the past, after first Baron, right? It says, well, we need the Baron minions if we want to push the base. Well, you don't if you're really clean and executing at a high level, which is what C9 is doing.
2 minutes until that potentially final basic Drake spawns. Cloud9 very much aware of that. Also sweeping out some of the vision around the Baron here. One of the ways I guess you could throw a lead like this is giving away a Baron to your opponents for free when you didn't mean to, so they want to make sure they're not opening up those doors for Immortals. Because honestly, with a lead like this, 20 minutes into the game, Immortals is pretty much waiting on a Cloud9 throw. There's not really a move that you do where you're saying, okay, this is our opportunity to go in and we can win here. It's how do they goof up? Because you need a big goof.
Yeah, and if C9 overdives, Immortals actually has a fast Baron, the Yasuo Cassiopeia would be very quick. They're just a long ways from that world. Mountain Drake up in a minute 10 and 1, kind of dangling middle turret that C9 is going to be going for.
I feel like they're in another galaxy from that world. That's a real hard one to imagine from this game state. See if that tier 2 becomes a target here, if they're just drawing attention to it while they wait for the Drake to spawn. Nisqy doesn't want to be the guy who overextends himself down here. Would rather have his ranged allies come around and help that one. You can see Zven in the mid lane is going to keep pushing that one up, pressuring multiple locations at once. Licorice is in the top side. He's got the teleport ready. He's got the Gangplank already. He can be there at a moment's notice.
Yep, just getting as much poke in as possible. This is the one point in the game where C9 doesn't need to be accelerating the pace.
Tanky supports also all going Gargoyle Stoneplate Rush these days, recognizing that it's making them just so incredibly durable in the fights. You can see that being the first item completed on Vulcan's Tahm Kench, as Nisqy continues just making sure these waves are shoved up bottom side. Mountain Drake, T-minus 10 seconds. Nisqy with the flash. The damage is there, and the artillery fire from a long way away means C9 has this soul on lock.
That was just cool to watch. Just the straight line of everything coming in with the CC locked. Karma, who went Ninja Tabby, yes, because they're basically all AD, but that also means you're more vulnerable to the CC chaining. It's a tough spot.
Mountain Soul secured by Cloud9 now makes it even that much harder to punish this team if they go too far, if somebody gets caught out. Extra shielding makes them so much more durable. It's now Elder 6 minutes from now. That'll be around the 30-minute mark. Baron is on the table. All of the turrets except that bottom lane tier 2 outside of the Immortals base have already been claimed. And this is where we hit a point where I think you truly get to see how well does a team use an early game lead, because this is where we see so many teams stall out.
For sure, and C9 in week 1 had the fastest average game time of any team. It was 29 minutes roughly. You'd hope to see them be able to close this one before then. They'll also have a chance to get an Elder Dragon before 30 because of how efficient they've been with things. So if it does come to that, you could see it happen, but I'm kind of expecting them, especially with the way they're pushing these side waves and how much threat Nisqy has. Nisqy will be able to push a wave in. If Immortals comes to look towards Baron, then they can put a GP ult with the Pantheon ult and just kind of dive in to kill Immortals, and that should probably do it, but we'll have to see if they can execute.
Worth noting, Immortals does have the items to make a recipe for a potential miracle turnaround in a fight. You've got Xmithie with the stopwatch to throw in a cast and then buy himself some time. Both carries now also on 2 items. Yasuo with the Infinity Edge Power Spike. Leandry's fully completed there for Altec's Cassiopeia. But will it be enough in the face of an over 10,000 gold deficit? Cloud9 wants to say no, as Nisqy, Vulcan, and Blaber will roam through the jungle here, clearing out some vision along the way. They see the blue trinket placed down there, steal that red away, give that one over to Zven. There we go, pick up a soul as well. What's the soul count on Senna?
Yeah, last I checked it was 50. It's at 52 right now, so nothing extreme. When the other team runs away from you constantly, it's really hard to farm souls off of them. But as you can see, every cannon will be an auto drop. If he's last hitting the minions low percent. And look, Immortals is kind of exposed to mid lane. This could be it.
Vulcan going in. Immortals are now separated. Altec under pressure from Licorice, but it's going to be so much damage coming through on the back end of the fight. Zven grabbing a killing spree there onto Hakuho. Double kill for him. Altec's gone. Man, Immortals just lost 3, and Zven counted them all up.
Yeah, I was ready to go into this whole spiel about, I'm going to do it anyway.
All right, go for it.
Hey, like, the vision
time.
line is way out here. It's getting harder and harder for Immortals to do stuff. The only way they can get Baron vision is if they get mid priority. But C9 was just ahead of me. The instant Immortals went for mid priority, C9 jumped in, right? They knew all of the possibilities beforehand and just completely decimated Immortals.
Baron now the target. As you said, this thing's slower than molasses for this team comp to take. You pretty much have to put 3 guys in the dirt and then have a flawless health bar state for your own team to go get it.
Yeah.
But sure enough, they got it.
It's like, how is this game only 26 minutes in? Like, it feels like C9 has just been stomping on them for like an hour, but it's been only 26 minutes. We've said it a lot, but C9 looks good. They have Baron now. Now they can break the base. After Baron, if it's not over, they'll have enough inhibitor damage to be able to go get Elder Dragon. Gotta feel good for C9 right now.
Looking phenomenal. Let's see how fast they finish this one off. Red buff picked up there for Zven. 5-0-3 on this Senna.
Yeah,
Just popping off, man. Popping off.
RFC completed, 61 souls, so not only does he have the additional 75 range from his soul collection, he's going to be getting the extra 150 range from the RFC.
Oh, here comes your initiation. Licorice caught out. Nice pickup there for Immortal.
Smart play by Eika and the team right there. They could even try and get that turret if they were willing to trade a little bit more. I think Eika's going to stick around and get it, so always good to try and kind of catch Licorice doing janitor duty on waves. Weren't getting that kill anywhere else.
Well, that does open up the opportunity for Cloud9 to take the tier 2 bottom, though. That is the last tier 2 turret on the map that was standing for Immortals, now gone. Baron power play is currently only at plus 1,200, which is under the value that taking the Baron itself gives your team. So Cloud9 needs to get a little more out of this for it to really feel worthwhile. Once Licorice respawns in 10 seconds, he will have TP to be able to join this fight. Hakuho nearly taken out. The damage and the range are so oppressive from Zven in these trades. As the bottom lane inhibitor turret falls, TP is channeled, and Cloud9 will utilize the last 70 seconds of this Baron to push hard in mid and bottom lane.
Yep, fun fact, Senna autos do not get blocked by Wind Wall because they are not projectiles, so it makes it even harder for them to defend.
Xmithie rooted up. This could be bad news here for the side of Immortals. They will disengage properly, but they have already lost inhibitor number 1. Number 2 now the target. Baron Enchanted minions in 2 lanes. The cannons just harassing Altec there in the bottom side. As you'll see the mid lane inhibitor fall here in just a moment. And that is 2 inhibs taken out. Plus 2,000 now on that Baron power play clock. And that means Cloud9 are feeling good about the state of this game. Elder spawns in 30.
Yeah, what were we saying before that Baron happened? They'll use the Baron, get inhibs, and that'll open it up for Elder for them to be able to get that.
Yeah, you predicted that pretty well.
Every move in this game has kind of been like clockwork for C9. Like the very first play of Zven soloing Eika, that's the individual outplay, right?
Nisqy soloing Eika.
Yeah, sorry, Nisqy soloing Eika. But from there, it's every other play just kind of rolled off. It's like, okay, he now has mid priority, so they might just win here.
Hakuho will find himself CC'd, but they don't have everybody else nearby, so they don't want to go in. They're still waiting on 2 of their members to come into this fight. Xmithie's going to be forced to stasis here very early. Vulcan's going to be drawing all the fire. But speaking of fire, the artillery once again will rain down on Immortals. The damage is there. They are gone, gone, gone. Cloud9. 5 for 1.
There it is. Immortals tried the desperation play. They were tired of C9's just perfect play around the map, tried to make something happen, unable to kill Zven and Vulcan as they go for the all-in initiation. And that, Captain Flowers, was a rout.
Elder not required in what I believe is the cleanest game we've seen so far in these first couple of weeks. Cloud9 smash Immortals.
And as I was saying before they got that final fight, is everything in that game was just in sequence, one play rolling into the next. The mid play into the first Drake, into the Rift Herald that they can get, into breaking a turret, into a turret dive bottom lane once the top lane was gone, into the next Drake, and so on and so forth. Like the global usage, the early lead, and just not making those mistakes is what is separating C9, even though it's only 3 games, what is separating C9 from the rest of the league right now. I can't wait until they play Dignitas, because they played very well today as well. But there's a difference in the way these teams approach the game. C9 is picking champions that have an advantage from minute 1 onwards that will not have an advantage at 30 minutes if they do not make plays. But they have been making the plays in this game, and that was impressive.
Cloud9 looking so good here in these first 3 games. Deathless on 3 members, Blaber, Zven, Vulcan. Not one of them saw a black and white screen that entire game. So well done by this team.